Take a look at these two sentences. There's a little salt in your soup. There's little salt in your soup. Now, would you say the two sentences mean the same thing? You see, there are people who say that a little is more or greater than little. Well, to an extent, they are right, but there's more to it. Let me explain.
Explain.
First of all, I want to establish that, among other things, little and a little are quantifiers. If you don't know what quantifiers are, the simplest answer is that they basically answer the question, how much or how many, right? They represent more or less the quantity of something, okay? So they fall in the same category with other quantifiers like some, many, a lot, few. Secondly, apart from being quantifiers, you should also know that little and a little are used with uncountable nouns. So, for example, we can talk about little sugar or a little sugar, little information or a little information, little water or a little water. But the question still remains, how is little different from a little? Right, so let me put it this way. Basically, little as a quantifier means very small or not enough, whereas a little as a quantifier means small but quite enough. Let me repeat that. Little as a quantifier means very small or not enough. Now, a little as a quantifier means small but quite enough. Let me explain further with examples. So, for example, if you want to take your bath, but the amount of water you have is not enough, you can use little to describe the water. There's little water in the bucket. It is not enough. On the other hand, if you want to take your bath and the amount of water is small, but still enough to take your bath with, you can use a little to describe the water. So you'd say, there is a little water in the bucket. I can take my bath with it. So as I mentioned earlier, little water here means the water is not enough. Whereas a little water means, though it's not much, it's quite enough to be used. Let's look at the two sentences we started with. There's little salt in your soup. And then, there's a little salt in your soup. Little salt in the soup versus a little salt in the soup. Now, first of all, let's admit that in both instances, we are saying that the salt in the soup is not much. Now, saying little salt means that apart from the salt not being much, it is not enough. And for that matter, I may not want to eat the soup. But when I say a little salt, yes, I admit that the salt is not much. But in this case, it may be enough and perhaps okay for me to eat. Now, in case you're still confused, maybe this will help. Now, assuming you find yourself in a particular situation, then somebody comes and says to you, there's little hope for you. What the person actually means is that things are not looking good for you. There's little hope for you. Things are not that good for you. On the other hand, if the person says, there's a little hope for you, the person is implying that even though the situation is not good, it's not all that bad. I hope you get it now. So basically, the difference between little and a little has to do with whether or not whatever we are talking about is enough. In other words, you can see little implies negativity, whereas a little implies positivity. So for example, little money implies that it is not enough, negative. A little money would imply that even though it's small, well, it's enough, positive. Little information means it is not enough, negative. A little information would mean, even though it's not much, well, we can do something with it. Little sugar means it is not enough. A little sugar implies that it is enough. Now, you should, however, note that whether something is little or a little is relative, meaning it depends on context. It depends on the people and the situation in context. Someone may describe something as little and another person may describe the same thing as a little. Okay, I may give a certain amount of money to somebody and the person may describe the money as little. Another person may see that money as a little. It's not that much, but it's okay to do something with. All right. Now here's a little practice test.